The gathering storm. The observation deck of the diplomatic station Meridian floated in neutral space, far from any star system. Captain David Torres stood before the massive viewing window, watching ships from a dozen alien species dock at the station's various ports. His reflection stared back at him, a man in his late 40s with weathered features and gray streaking through his dark hair. Behind him, the door slid open. "Captain, they're ready for you," said Lieutenant Sarah Chen, his communications officer. David nodded without turning around. 20 years he had served in the Terran Republic Navy. 20 years of peace with the galaxy's major powers. That peace was about to end. The conference chamber was circular, with seats arranged in tiers that rose toward the ceiling. Representatives from the Coalition of United Worlds occupied the upper levels. Humans sat at the bottom, as they always did. David took his seat beside Ambassador Michael Harrison, an older man with silver hair and tired eyes. At the chamber's center stood Counselor Thane, a being from the Zorathian Empire. His species resembled massive reptiles, with scales that shifted colors based on their mood. Right now, those scales showed deep red, the color of anger and contempt. "The matter is simple," Thane announced, his voice booming through translation devices. "The Terran Republic has expanded into the outer reaches without authorization. You have established colonies on worlds that fall under coalition jurisdiction. This violation cannot stand." Ambassador Harrison rose slowly. "Those worlds were unclaimed. We followed all established protocols for colonization. The Coalition Charter clearly states that any species may settle uninhabited systems if proper surveys are conducted." "The Charter applies to member species," interrupted Counselor Vex, a crystalline being whose thoughts manifested as light patterns. "Humanity holds only observer status. You have no colonization rights." David felt his jaw tighten. For 300 years, humanity had been among the stars. They had met dozens of alien civilizations, joined the coalition as junior members, and followed every rule imposed upon them. Yet they remained second-class citizens in a galaxy ruled by species who had achieved spaceflight millions of years earlier. "We request full membership," Harrison said calmly. "Our population exceeds that of 12 current member worlds. Our technology contributes significantly to coalition advancement. Our people have earned the right to participate fully in galactic affairs." Laughter erupted from the upper tiers. Not cruel laughter, but the kind adults might share at a child's naive request. Thane's scales shifted to orange, the color of amusement. "Humanity is too young. Too volatile. Your species barely controls its own violent impulses. You wage wars among yourselves even now. How can we trust you with the responsibilities of full membership?" "Our internal conflicts are our concern," Harrison replied. "They do not affect our relations with coalition members. We have honored every treaty, every agreement. You honor them because you are weak," Vex's lights flashed sharply. "Your military poses no threat to established powers. Your economy depends on our technology. Your very survival relies on coalition tolerance. These are not qualities we seek in partners. They are qualities we manage in subjects." David's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. Around him, other human delegates sat in stiff silence. They had expected rejection, but not such open contempt. Harrison remained composed. "Then what are the coalition's terms?" Thane stepped forward. "You will abandon all colonies established in the outer reaches. You will reduce your military fleet by 70%. You will accept permanent observer status with no possibility of advancement for 1,000 years. These terms are non-negotiable. And if we refuse? Then the coalition will enforce compliance. We have 5,000 warships positioned throughout the galaxy. You have perhaps 800. The mathematics are simple, Ambassador. Accept these terms, or face consequences your species cannot survive." The chamber fell silent. David could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. Around the room, alien delegates watched with expressions ranging from pity to satisfaction. They had seen this scenario play out before with other young species. The outcome was always the same. Harrison stood there for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was quiet but clear. The Terran Republic requires time to consider these terms. We request 72 hours to consult with our government. Thane's scales rippled with satisfaction. You have 48 hours. Not a moment longer. We are not unreasonable, Ambassador, but neither are we patient. Deliver your answer, or we will deliver ours. The human delegation filed out in silence. As they walked through the station's corridors, David noticed how other species moved aside, giving them wide berth. Some looked at them with sympathy. Most looked through them as if they weren't there at all. In the shuttle bay, Harrison pulled David aside. The ambassador's tired eyes now burned with something else. Something harder. Contact Fleet Admiral Richards, Harrison said quietly. Tell her the vote was unanimous. Tell her we're out of time. David felt a chill run down his spine. Sir, are we really going to refuse? Against 5,000 ships. Harrison smiled, but there was no humor in it. Captain, do you know why I chose you for this mission? Why you specifically are here? No, sir. Because 15 years ago, you commanded the science vessel Prometheus when it encountered that spatial anomaly near the Kepler system. You kept your crew alive for 3 months with failing life support, limited supplies, and no hope of rescue. You improvised solutions that our best engineers said were impossible. You survived because you refused to accept that survival was impossible. David remembered those 3 months. The constant repairs, the rationed food, the crew members who hadn't made it. He had nightmares about it still. Humanity has been preparing for this day since we first met the Coalition, Harrison continued. We knew they would never accept us as equals. We knew they would eventually try to crush us. So we prepared. While they watched us build 800 ships, we built 800 more in hidden shipyards. While they thought they knew our technology, we developed weapons they cannot imagine. While they assumed we would beg for mercy, we planned for war. But sir, even 1,600 ships against 5,000. Numbers matter less than people think, Captain. The Coalition hasn't fought a real war in 10,000 years. Their battles are formal, ritualized affairs with rules and protocols. They've forgotten what war actually means. Harrison's expression hardened. We haven't. We remember. And we're about to teach them a lesson they'll never forget. Back on Earth, deep beneath the sprawling capital city of New Geneva, President Elena Martinez stood in the command center that humanity had secretly built over decades. Around her, holographic displays showed real-time data from across human space. Military positions, fleet movements, resource allocations, all hidden from Coalition surveillance. Madam President, said General James Rodriguez, commander of Terran Republic Defense Forces. Ambassador Harrison's signal just came through. The Coalition has issued their ultimatum. 48 hours. Elena looked at the displays. 200 star systems. 30 billion human beings. All depending on decisions made in this room. What's the status of Project Ironclad? All defensive platforms are operational. The shipyards have completed construction of the final vessels. Ground forces are at full readiness. We can maintain operational security for another 36 hours, after that, the Coalition will detect our preparations. Elena turned to Admiral Catherine Richards, the woman who had spent 2 decades building humanity's hidden fleet. Are we ready? Catherine's expression was grim but determined. We're as ready as we can be, Madam President. But I won't lie to you. This will be the hardest fight humanity has ever faced. We'll lose people. We'll lose ships. We'll lose worlds, maybe. But can we win? Catherine was silent for a moment. Then she nodded. Yes. If we're willing to pay the price. If we're willing to show them what we really are. Elena looked around the room at the faces of humanity's military leadership. Men and women who had trained their entire careers for a war they hoped would never come. Now that war was here, and there was no turning back. Send the order, Elena said. Activate Project Ironclad. All fleets to battle stations. All colonies to defensive protocols. And transmit the following message to the coalition. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Words that would echo across the galaxy for centuries to come. Tell them that humanity rejects their terms. Tell them that we will not abandon our colonies. We will not reduce our fleet. We will not accept subjugation. Tell them that if they want war, we will give them war unlike anything they have ever seen. Tell them that they have awakened something they do not understand. Tell them we are coming. Humanity's hidden hand. The Coalition Expeditionary Fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Proxima system, humanity's furthest colony. Admiral Krell of the Zorathian Empire commanded the force from his flagship, the Eternal Dominance. Around him, 300 warships hung in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with power. Scan the system, Krell ordered. Locate their defensive installations. His sensor officer worked the controls. Admiral, I'm detecting unusual readings throughout the system. Multiple power signatures that don't match known human technology. Krell's scales shifted to yellow, the color of curiosity mixed with caution. Elaborate. There are structures on every moon, every asteroid, every orbital position. Far more than our intelligence suggested. And they're all powering up. Before Krell could respond, his communications officer spoke urgently. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. Put it through. A human face appeared on the screen. She was a woman in her 30s, with dark skin and eyes that showed no fear despite facing 300 warships. She wore a military uniform with the rank insignia of a colonel. I am Colonel Patricia Walsh, commanding officer of Proxima Defense Forces. You are trespassing in Terran Republic space. You have 10 minutes to leave this system. Krell's scales rippled with amusement. Colonel, you are facing 300 coalition warships. Your colony has perhaps 20 defensive satellites. I admire your courage, but courage without power is merely foolishness. Surrender now, and your people will be treated mercifully. Patricia smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Admiral, our intelligence on your force has been quite detailed. 300 ships, yes. The Eternal Dominance, your flagship, has shields rated to withstand 47 terawatts of sustained fire. Your point defense systems can intercept approximately 600 incoming targets simultaneously. Your hyperdrive requires 15 minutes to spin up for emergency jump. Am I correct? Krell felt his scales shifting toward purple, the color of unease. How did this human know such specific details about coalition military capabilities? Your point, Colonel. My point is that you know nothing about us. You think you do, but you're wrong. For 300 years, you've watched us. You've studied our ships, our weapons, our technology. But you only saw what we wanted you to see. Patricia leaned forward. Admiral, you're about to discover what happens when humans prepare for war. She raised her hand. Throughout the Proxima system, hundreds of hidden weapons platforms revealed themselves. They had been disguised as ordinary satellites, mining equipment, communication relays. Now they showed their true nature. Krell's sensor officer's voice rose in alarm. Admiral, I'm counting 800 defensive platforms. 800. They're targeting our fleet. Power signatures are off the scale. These weapons are far more advanced than anything in our database. Impossible, Krell said, but his scales had turned fully purple now. Launch fighters. Prepare evasive maneuvers. Charge main weapons. Patricia's voice cut through his orders. You have 5 minutes left, Admiral. I suggest you use them wisely. Fire, Krell commanded. The coalition fleet opened up with everything they had. Energy beams lanced across space. Missiles streaked toward the defensive platforms. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The human platforms activated their shields. The coalition weapons struck and dissipated harmlessly. Not a single platform was damaged. Krell stared in disbelief. Those shield systems. They're more powerful than our capital ships. How is this possible? 3 minutes, Patricia said calmly. All ships, concentrate fire on a single platform. Maximum power. 300 warships focused their weapons on one human defensive station. The combined firepower of an entire fleet hammered against its shields. For a moment, the shields flickered. Then they stabilized. The platform returned fire. A single beam of blue-white energy lanced out and struck the Eternal Dominance. Krell felt his ship shudder as the beam cut through their shields like they weren't there. Alarms blared across the bridge. Shields at 40% from one shot, his tactical officer reported. Admiral, that weapon is 3 times more powerful than our main cannon. And they have 800 of them, Krell said quietly, understanding finally dawning. All ships, retreat. Emergency hyperspace jump. 15 minutes until hyperdrive is ready, Admiral. Patricia's face appeared on the screen again. You're out of time, Admiral. Here's what's going to happen. 800 platforms are going to fire simultaneously. Your shields won't hold. Your point defense won't stop the incoming fire. Your ships will be destroyed. Unless you surrender right now. Krell's pride warred with his survival instinct. He was a coalition admiral. He had never surrendered in his life. But he was also responsible for 30,000 crew members who were about to die. What are your terms? He asked, the words bitter in his mouth. Power down your weapons. Lower your shields. Prepare to receive boarding parties. Your ships and crew will be held until this conflict is resolved. The coalition will never accept this. They'll send the entire fleet to free us. Patricia's expression hardened. Let them come, Admiral. We're ready. We've been ready for 300 years. You just didn't know it. Krell gave the order. 300 coalition warships surrendered without firing another shot. It was the first time in 10,000 years that a coalition force had been defeated. Back on Earth, in the command center, President Martinez watched the engagement with satisfaction mixed with concern. General Rodriguez stood beside her. Proxima was just the vanguard, he said. The main coalition fleet will be here within days. Thousands of ships. Let them come, Elena replied. Colonel Walsh just showed them what one human colony can do. Wait until they see what we've prepared for them here. She pulled up a display showing Earth and the inner solar system. Hidden throughout the system were tens of thousands of defensive platforms, each more powerful than anything the coalition had ever encountered. Beneath Earth's surface, weapon systems that had been built in secret over decades waited to be activated. And in orbit, disguised as ordinary space stations, humanity's newest warships hung ready for battle. They thought they knew us, Elena said softly. They thought they understood what humanity was capable of. They're about to learn the truth. We're not the weak, primitive species they imagined. We're survivors. We're fighters. We're the species that crawled out of caves and reached for the stars. And we will not be conquered. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominance, now under human control, Admiral Krell watched as human soldiers secured his ship. Colonel Walsh stood before him. Why? He asked. Why hide all this? Why not show us your strength from the beginning? Patricia considered the question. Because, Admiral, we needed you to underestimate us. We needed you to think you could win easily. We needed you to commit your forces where we wanted them. Sun Tzu, one of our ancient strategists, wrote that all warfare is based on deception. The coalition is about to learn that lesson the hard way. You're making a mistake, Krell said. You cannot defeat the combined might of the coalition. We have resources you cannot imagine. Maybe, Patricia agreed. But you know what we have? Determination. Creativity. The ability to adapt and overcome. You've had peace for 10,000 years. You've forgotten what it means to truly fight for survival. We haven't. We remember. And that's going to make all the difference. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Admiral. Tell the coalition something for me. Tell them that humanity says hello. Tell them we're just getting started.